What a beautiful sound of the shofar, right? Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome back here to Light for the Nations. It's a blessing, like every week, to be once again with all of you, to share the word of YaHuWaH, to continue with this amazing study of the book of Second Kings. And really, sorry?
Melachim Bet.
Melachim Bet, true. And it's true that hearing the shofar is it's just to wake a little bit, right? Wake up. So we really hope that you have been enjoying your Shabbat, that you had a blessed week, and if it was a little difficult one, that at least you are having some rest today, in the day of rest of YaHuWaH. We were taking a look in the chat, and Shannon, we will be praying for your dad, for you. We'll keep him in our prayers, and you have a big family here that we will be praying for you and your family. So today we will continue with the portion we have titled. Do you remember the name? No, you don't remember the name. So let me put it here in the screen. The name of the portion today is Lebab'cha Yashar. Can you pronounce that?
Lebab'cha Yashar.
Lebab'cha is your heart.
Your heart.
And Yashar is to be straight, to be faithful, to be right, to be correct.
Okay.
That some of us believe that this is the real name from Israel. Instead of Israel, it's Yasharel, and is basically the straight ones. So
the meaning is your heart right.
And that's the meaning, is your heart right? And this is coming, we already told you this when we were doing the portions. We just reading it, and we found specific phrases within the chapters when we decided to split the portions. And this phrase is exactly in one of the chapters. I think it's chapter 11. We will see it. And I think it's a very relevant question for these days. It's not... It's nothing to hide in what's going on to any of us, and what's going on in the world today. And actually, we have been seeing some videos of people talking about society. It's not even related to the scriptures. Just people talking about what's going on in the political view and the social view in our countries, and also in other countries. Here in the Americas, North America and South America, but also in Europe and so on. And it's interesting to see that there are some voices rising up, saying that, the people that they know what is right and wrong is something that we know within each one of us. Even though that some people, they don't know and they don't believe in YaHuWaH, and they don't know the scriptures, they know within them what is right and wrong, and somehow is validating what even Paul was talking about. That's demonstrating the Torah written in the heart. And some of this person that these people that we were hearing about this week, they were saying even those people that they don't believe, they are more close to the belief of the scriptures.
Without knowing,
when they decide with their values about what is right and what is wrong, they are really close without knowing and without acknowledging that they're very close to the scriptures, to the word of YaHuWaH, and to the covenant, to the Torah of YaHuWaH, that is basically the way that YaHuWaH gives us the instruction to understand what is good and what is evil. Okay, so it is really interesting that those voices are appearing in society in these days, saying that there's so much darkness and there's so much evil in the world today. Is that those of us that we know what is right and what is wrong, we need to start speaking up. And one of the discussion, and it's interesting because when we saw this, I even didn't know what was the title of this portion today. one of the main topic on those discussions is that we need to know what is right. We need to understand if we are right or not. It's somehow connected to the title key is that it's basically asking ourselves and asking others, is your heart right? And I think in this portion, the similar scenario, when this question was asked, what's going on? Kind of a noise, kind of two groups, wrong and right, and a big change happening. And somehow I think it's a continuation of what we were discussing last week. I didn't prepare anything what I'm saying. That is just speaking and she knows. I think YaHuWaH is going to guide us in these days, and we need to be with the right heart to be prepared for action. And by action is that he will use us in different ways. The point is that we cannot sit down and see. We need to stand up and do. And I think that time is coming now. And when I don't remember if I told you this when we were watching and listening to these people talking, is that it's interesting to see people that maybe they don't have the same belief as us. Maybe they have some kind of root in Christianity. Some of them we don't know. Some of them we know, the other ones that we don't know. That they are somehow with this willingness to take actions no matter the consequences. And many of them, if you remember, they were talking about, but that you are not afraid about the consequences because all the time are consequences. And that's true. So I was thinking within myself is that it's interesting that we see these people rising up and doing these kind of things. And I was meditating, shouldn't be us that we know the truth, that we have been called by YaHuWaH to his truth and to be a light to the world or a light to the nations, to be with a similar attitude, with a similar position. And sometimes, speaking from myself first, we are too inactive. Sometimes we are so focused on other things, and maybe it's the time that YaHuWaH is refining us. We cannot discard that. But I think this is something that we should internalize, and we should start meditating, and most importantly, praying. That if we are being called to be light to the world, if we have been called to be the salt of the earth, if we have been called to bring the good news of the righteousness and of the kingdom of YaHuWaH into this world, it shouldn't be us the one speaking up. It shouldn't be us to doing and taking the actions. By saying this, and just to clarify my thought, I'm not telling you that you need to enter into politics or to any other institution of the world, and unless YaHuWaH is guiding you to do that, and this is something you will feel within yourselves, and the Ruach guiding you in what you have to do. The only thing that I'm saying is that we need to meditate and start praying that maybe now or sooner we will need to start taking actions. And I think the entire word of YaHuWaH, everything we have been studying throughout the years, and especially in this cycle that we are seeing Torah put in action, really?
With real clear examples, yeah.
Examples in the life of people, experiences, some of them not easy situations, and actually today we're going to see one of them. I think YaHuWaH is showing us every time that following his ways is taking action, doing. And we discussed this, and we have been talking about this from different times and different ways. When we talk about emunah, about faith, is that faith is not only a feeling, it's action. Faith without works, without action, is death. It's dead. So we need to do. We need to believe and do. And I think now in these times is when it's much needed that we do. All the disciples and all the prophets, and actually everything we have been studying in these new portions from Joshua till now, from the book of Joshua through the book of Samuel and the book of Kings, we see servants of YaHuWaH taking action, doing something, being guided by the Elohim, being guided to do something, not only to feel, not only to speak, mostly to do. So I think the world and creation need, in this time, the manifestation of the children of Elohim, the true children of Elohim, those ones that feel like YaHuWaH, those ones that are being following the steps of Yahushua HaMashiach, who is showing us the true character of the heart of YaHuWaH, the one we have to imitate, the one that we should push to be like him. And in his life, in his first coming, he came with that attitude. He came to save the world, and he gave us that mission as well, to go and bring the good news. With what purpose? What purpose?
To open that door that was closed for so long, so we can find where the source of shalom, the source of love, the source of life. That is YaHuWaH, that is our creator.
And I would summarize what you said with one phrase, is to save the world, because he wants everyone to be saved, to lose no one. So that should be our attitude. If we see somebody that's going astray, if we see that darkness is increasing, it should be our attitude to do something. And by doing something, sometimes we mistake, including myself, and I think this is happening to all of us, is that we think and we expect big things. Maybe we are not assigned or appointed to do big things. Maybe we are appointed by YaHuWaH to do small things. Maybe one person, maybe in one community, maybe in one group of people, maybe in our families. He knows. But the point is that the attitude is the same if you are going to a small, it's just one person and a small group of people, or you go to the 1,000. The attitude is the same if you go to your own community, in your place, or you are being guided and used to YaHuWaH to go to remote places. The attitude is the same. It's the attitude of the love of YaHuWaH to save souls, to save people from the coming judgment. Is our responsibility somehow. And I think now that I remember what we were reading, somehow is connected to what it says there. It's our responsibility to bring the word. But as I was reading in a book this morning, it's not only about bringing the word only. It's to bring compassion, but the power of YaHuWaH. What Yahushua was doing, he was bringing healing to the sick. He was providing food for those in hunger. So the words are so important, and the mouth is so important. It's connected to the two-edged sword. And but it's not only the words, it's the actions and the manifestation of the mighty power of YaHuWaH. So as I said, I didn't prepare all this speech, but for some reason, I had to say it. It's something that maybe is in my heart for a while. Maybe it's something I have been meditating. I don't know. But I think it's something that all of us, that we are believers and we are followers of the way, we should ask ourselves every day, especially in these last days, because there's no doubt that we are living in those last days. And as I said before, sooner or later, we will need to stand up, and we need to be prepared for that time. So I think it's better the sooner than the later that we take the actions and we stand up for what is right, for what is good, for what is righteous, no matter the consequences, no matter what the surrounding will try to do against us, and so on. Just to finish the thought, one of the videos we saw yesterday, there is a famous pastor in the States. What's his name? I forgot.
Gibbs or Jacob? I
Gibbs.
don't know. Gibbs, something like
Yeah, it's
that.
from the. Let me look. Let me look for it.
I think that somebody in the chat maybe has already written the name.
Okay, it's Jack Hibbs from the Calvary Chapel.
Mm.
And maybe you already know about this, but he was invited a few weeks ago to lead a prayer in the house in Washington, D.C.
Mm.
And, we were very amazed with the
With the boldness.
and with the whole situation, actually, with the
Yeah.
boldness, but as well with the whole situation, because I didn't know that there are certain rules. At first, I didn't know that was part of
the process.
the
of
process, and that they were inviting sometimes to open the sessions with a
meeting.
prayer.
Mm.
So in this case, this pastor was invited to lead the prayer. And actually, there are certain rules for the prayer. They are not allowing to mention Jesus Christ. They are not allowing to mention the word Father. They had to put a prayer and write the prayer with no more than 100 words or something like that.
Yeah.
And they need to submit the written prayer for the examination, before reading it, for examination and approval, and so on. And he was, he was bringing his testimony about what happened. And before going, he submitted the letter with the prayer, following the process. But he wasn't feeling well within himself about that prayer, because he didn't feel that he was bringing honor to YaHuWaH and to his son. So what he did, he was very bold. And he wrote the prayer and he put it in his pocket, what he was feeling in his heart. And when the time came to lead the prayer in the House of Representatives, he took his letter from the pocket and he read the prayer that he was led by YaHuWaH to do, to say. And he was talking about the coming judgment. He was giving all the glory to YaHuWaH and his son. For sure, he's not using the names as we are, but he's believing with a true heart for the Father. Yes, that's the name, Jack Hibbs. And what happened? He is under a huge persecution. Actually, there is a lot of representatives that they sign a letter and accusing him of anti-Semitic, anti-LGBTQ, that he was one of the preaching and pushing for what happened in the capital city on January 6th. And also that he's an extreme religious and nationalist or something like that. It's a 2 pages letter with
a lot of accusations.
Exactly. Because he decided to stand up for the truth, for the righteousness that we are being led and taught in the word of YaHuWaH. So, and yes, Camila, I just saw your last comment, and And that snare, I saw it coming, or let me rephrase this because that's the truth. He allowed me, YaHuWaH allowed me to see it coming back on 2017 when I was putting together this video about the last days, the part 13, when I was sharing my view on where we stand in the timeline of the end times. And I think it was in that video that I was just putting some video extracts of some politicians in Europe, in the States, in other places, and even the Pope, talking about the hate speech. And in the hate speech, they were somehow preparing the ground for the tagging as terrorists those that are using hate speech. And they're connecting the hate speech with people, in the online platforms that and that somehow they were connecting to Christianity or some type of beliefs. They were not keeping aside those one, and they were connecting even more. And what we see what's going on so far in all these years, and especially in this case that we have been sharing about this pastor, we see it clearly happening. With the darkness that has been increasing in all these recent years that we were discussing last week. We see that the ground is even prepared even more in order to tag even all of us that we are the extremist people, that we are having a hate speech against society, and that we are the crazy men, actually, as like the prophets that we were discussing last week that were being named crazy people. And we are the outcast of society somehow. So it shouldn't be a surprise for all of us that at the moment we are going to stand up, as we see the example of this pastor YaHuWaH, that we are going to face the same. So what we need to ask ourselves is that, I'm talking maybe what is related to the portion, but we need to ask ourselves, is our heart right? Is our heart for YaHuWaH?
And right with him.
Exactly.
Not with all the people.
As Paul and Shaul said, I'm going to please man, or I'm going to please him. I am willing to give my life for YaHuWaH and lose it for eternity, and win it for eternity. Or I'm willing to save my life now, but I'm going to lose it for eternity.
Mashiach said those who lose their life because of YaHuWaH or because of the righteousness, they are going to have eternal life.
Exactly.
But those who wants to keep it, to save it, and they're willing to go astray, they're going to lose, and they're going to lose the eternal life. Absolutely. That is so sad. This is temporary, but we have to set our hope and mind in the eternal.
Yeah. So, again, I do believe that there is something coming, and I think all of us, we are feeling it in our hearts. There's something coming to the States. I have been sharing this with some of you, and this is not to make you afraid. It's just for you to be aware and awake and prepared. And not only for the States, it's coming for the entire world.
I think that is just the beginning, because from there is going to begin all these cards that are piled up in some form. They're going to start trembling, they're going to fall, and the fall is going to start there. Because for a lot of years, they were, and maybe the States were the main country. And a lot of countries here in South America and Europe, they are imitating, they're working related. So this is going to collapse somehow. Yes,
and I still feel, and I do believe, as has been feeling for many years already, that this is it's going to be an important year in terms of prophecy. We will see things unfolding even more this year, and we need to be prepared, not with fear, but we need to be prepared in order to do what we have been called to do. So I can be totally wrong, but I'm just sharing what I'm feeling. And if it's not this year, we see the direction that the entire world is going to. So if it's not this year, sooner or later, we will see something big happening. So I think this is the time, it's the right moment. As Shaul said, this is the time for salvation. And, every day is a time for salvation, and what it means that we need to decide. We need to decide day by day to whom we belong to. We need to decide day by day for what I'm going to stand for. We need to decide day by day that we are in this world, but we are not of the world. And we need to internalize that decision that sometimes is so difficult in every moment of our lives, is that we belong to Him, that we have already made a decision long time ago to come and be part of the kingdom of YaHuWaH. We need to internalize and remember, and that's the important thing, to remember and decide day by day, moment after moment, to be part of the kingdom of Yahushua, that He gave His life for us a long time ago in order to open the door for us to be part of it, to be called and to be named and to be empowered to be children of Elohim. We need to remember and decide day by day that the one that created everything from the very beginning, because this is the way that it's written in His word, He knew you and me. And before we were born, He decided that you and me were going to be His children. So the decision we are making day by day, actually, He made that decision even before us. He decided for you and for me. So the least we can do now is to remember day by day and decide for Him. I decide to be His son. I decide to live for His kingdom. It doesn't matter everything that we have around us. This is just temporary. Everything is going to be consumed by fire, because that's the way it is written. In order to purify this world, that the only way that is going to be purified is with fire. It cannot be purified in other way. So remembering that He decided for us is going to be much easier. And I know it's not easy. We are all struggling every day. But it's going to be much easier when we connect with the right compassion. Remembering everything He decided from the very beginning, everything He has been doing throughout history, in order to give us the opportunity in this time to be alive and to see what's going on and to be prepared for see Him coming on the clouds. It's going to be a fantastic moment, right? When we see that being fulfilled. So think about it. I'm gonna say like Steve Montreal, pray about it. Most important, be a doer of the word.
Not a hearer only.
Not a hearing only. Okay. Anything you want to add? Sorry for the
No, you said it all. Yeah, maybe
really?
at the end. Yeah.
Maybe at the end.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. So let's move on. Let's share this music and this song with you, and then we will continue with the study. Okay? Here we go.
תשכחני נצח, עד אנה תסתיר את פניך ממני, עד אנה אשית עצות בנפשי יגון, בלבבי יומם עד אנה ירום אויבי עליי. הביטנני אדוני אלוהי, אדוני אלוהי, האיר עיני פן אישה המוות, יאמר אויבי יכולתי צרי יגילו פן יאמר אויבי יכולתי צרי יגילו כי אמות אדן אדוני תשכחני נצח אדן תסתיר את פניך ממני אדן אשית עצות בנפשי יגון בלבבי יומם אדן ירום אויבי עלי ביטנני אדוני אלוהי אדוני אלוהי יאיר עיני ונשען המוות פן יאמר אויבי יכולתי צרי יגילו פן יאמר אויבי יכולתי צרי יגילו כי אמות ואני בחסדך בחסדך בטחתי יגן ליבי בישועתך אשיר על אדוני כי גמל עליי אשיר על אדוני כן אשיר על אדוני כי גמל עליי ואני בחסדך בחסדך בטחתי יגן ליבי בישועתך נשיר על אדוני כי גמל עליי נשיר על אדוני כן נשיר על אדוני כי גמל עליי אשיר על אדוני כן אשיר על אדוני כי גמל עליי אשיר על אדוני כי גמל עליי
Okay, so let's pray. YaHuWaH Elohim Sebaot, we want to give thanks to you in this moment for your covenant, for this day of rest, for this Shabbat. May you have established as a sign between you and your people Israel. Thank you, Abba, because it's through the offering of your Son Yahushua HaMashiach in the stake that we are here, because he opened the door for us to do the Shabbat, to return to you, and to be part of your people, your children, the children of Elohim. And in our hearts, O YaHuWaH, is the desire to obey you, is the desire to keep your covenant, is the desire to put in action your eternal instruction, your mitzvot, your Torah. And we do it because we love you. We do it because we know that we will have fullness of life, and we are going to be in the path of life by keeping your instructions, by doing what is right before your eyes. And we thank you, Abba, because you sent your son Yahushua, who came to restore all things and to show us the true way to keep your Torah, because he is the way and he is the word, the living word, your living word. And thanks to him, we are here. Oh, we pray in this moment to you that you can give us the strength we need in these times. And you can give us the attitude we need as your sons and daughters to stand up for your kingdom, for the sake of your righteousness, in order to be blessed as your son Yahushua was speaking about. To be thirsty for the righteousness of your kingdom, no matter the persecution, no matter the consequences. To be prepared with a true and right heart for you. Because the times are demanding to be with that attitude, O YaHuWaH. Not to be in silence, not to be hiding. The opposite. To be ready to serve you, to be ready, YaHuWaH, to go and do what you put in our hearts, what you guide us to say and do. We just want to say, Yahweh, that we are here and we want to serve you. As Yeshayahu said, here we are, send us. We are ready, Yahweh. You have been instructing us for so many years. And through your love and compassion, you have been preparing us in the truth of your word. And I think, and I know, and I feel that the time is coming in order to be sent out. And we are here, because we are your servants. Guide us, O YaHuWaH Elohim, in everything we will do today. Guide our words, our hearts, our thoughts, in order to allow your Ruach HaKodesh to speak through us. Reveal your word to us, to each one of us here, and those that are watching this study later on. Guide them as well, O YaHuWaH, and reveal your word and your truth to them too. We pray for those that are in need, in any type of need, those that are going through any type of illness. We pray for YaHuWaH, that you can show your compassion over him. We pray for any of your children that is going through some difficulties, that you can extend your hand, O YaHuWaH, and provide healing, and provide knowledge and wisdom, and to provide a way out for any difficulties they are going through. But most importantly, YaHuWaH Sebaot, we ask you that you can give us more emunah, that you can give us of your Ruach HaKodesh, in order not to use our words solely, is to allow your Ruach to work mighty things through us, and only for the honor of your kingdom and yours. Because to you is all the honor and all the glory, all the kavod, O YaHuWaH Sebaot. Thank you once again for giving us the opportunity to be here, because it's in your love and your decision that you have been gathering us together. and because you give us the opportunity, though we are at a long distance between each one of us, to be here with one heart and one spirit to seek your face and to seek your truth. You are the only one guiding us in your truth. Thank you, Abba, for this time. And thank you for being with us here. We invite you to be among us, that we can be one in your love, in your Ruach, and in your Son, Yahushua. We pray in his name, oh YaHuWaH, and we do with all our heart to you, acknowledging that you are the only one, the only true Elohim, the maker of heavens and earth. Thank you, Abba, in the mighty name of your Son, Yahushua. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, let's begin just now.
Yeah.
So let's go to 2 Kings chapter 10. And we will continue with the story of this interesting servant, Yehu.
Mm-hmm.
And the meaning of his name was
YaHuWaH is he.
YaHuWaH is he.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a so powerful meaning because, as we were discussing last week, it's a beautiful somehow foreshadow of Yahushua and his second coming. So let's continue with this study. So let's go chapter 10 verse 1 onward, and it says the following: And Ahab had 70 sons in Shomeron, and Jehu wrote letters and sent to Shomeron to the rulers of Israel, to the elders, and to the guardians of Ahab, saying, And now, when this letter comes to you, since your master's sons are with you, and you have chariots and horses, and a walled city, and weapons, choose the best and most upright of your master's sons, and set him on his father's throne, and fight for your master's house. And they were greatly afraid, and said, Look, 2 sovereigns have not stood before him. How do we stand, we? And he who was over the house, and he who was over the city, the elders also, and the guardians, sent to Jehu, saying, We are your servants, and all that you say to us, we do. We do not set up anyone to reign. Do what is good in your eyes. Do you want to share something? No? You're saving some words. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's interesting here that, somehow I see Jehu acting with a lot of wisdom because he was pushing them to realize, instead of telling them what to do, he was using wise words in order for them to realize themselves what they needed to do. While I was reading this, I remember something that is written in the book of Revelation, because he said the reaction of the elders of the city. It was the following: Look, 2 sovereigns have not stood before him. How do we stand? So how we are going to stand? This person, this king, because he was already anointed as king. Let me see if I find it. It's I think it's here. Okay, so this is the 6th seal in the book of Revelation, chapter 6. And it says, And the sovereigns of the earth, and the great ones, and the rich ones, and the commanders, and the mighty, and every slave, and every free one, hid themselves in the caves and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, Fall on us, and hide us from the face of him sitting on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb, because the great day of his wrath has come. And who is able to stand? You see similarity? Somehow they realized, and there were some kind of parallel, a foreshadow of the same people here that were the sovereigns of the earth, the elders in this case, realizing how we are going to stand. Jehu, not even the kings, these 2 kings were able to stand. And you know, another foreshadow, now that I'm talking about this, I think the similar thing happened with the Canaanians. You know, before Israel crossed the Jordan, they fight against two kings, and they removed those two kings. Was the last two giants somehow, and that news spread all over the places. Og and Sihon, exactly. And the Amorites that were in the other side of the Jordan, they were so afraid.
Yeah, because of what they heard.
They heard, and actually the attitude was very similar to what we see happening here. You know, when we see again, just to put in the context of what I'm saying, the elder saying, you know, look, two sovereigns had not stood before him. How do we stand? Imagine those Amorites in the other side of the Jordan, understanding, okay, Israel already took two of those kings, and those two mighty kings, they were not able to stand Israel. How we are going to do it? And you know, when we talk about our situation as children of Elohim, we are being chosen by YaHuWaH, and Yahushua, you know, has recruited us as his commanders, his servants, because he's the king. And our attitude should be the attitude of Yahu. Somehow that those people that are in darkness, those people that are doing evil things, should be afraid that how we are going to stand the servants of YaHuWaH, because the rest were not able to stand. And I'm not talking about physical strength. I think though we see here something physical going on, what Yahushua did, he came with the power of Elohim to demonstrate what the kingdom means, is to fight not against flesh and blood, is to fight against evil spirits. So how well prepared are we now in order to do and to have that fight? Only each one of us can answer that question. But this is something we need to ask ourselves. Are we ready to fight, to have this spiritual battle? Are we ready to allow the Ruach to flow through us in order to win that battle? That's the only way that the fear of YaHuWaH will be put in the hearts of other people. Then when they see what YaHuWaH is able to do through his children, through his people. That's exactly what happened with Israel in the past, in the physical. Now it's happening in the spiritual. And a time is coming soon that is going to happen in the physical again. But this is coming by the hand of Yahushua, right? Okay? So let's move on. And he was who was over the house, and he was over the city, the elders also, in the verse 5. And the guardian sent to Jehu, saying, we are your servants, and all that you say to us we do. We do not set up anyone to reign. Do what is good in your eyes. And he wrote a second letter to them, saying, if you are for me, and if you obey my voice, take the heads of the men, your master's sons, and come to me at Israel by this time tomorrow. Now the sovereign sons, 70 beings, were with the great man of the city, who brought them up. And it came to be, when the letter came to them, that they took the sovereign sons and slew them, 70 men, and put their heads in baskets, and sent them to him at Israel. Then a messenger came and informed him, saying, they have brought the heads of the sovereign sons. And he said, make them 2 heaps at the entrance of the gate until morning. And it came to be in the morning that he went out and stood and said to all the people, you are righteous. Look, I conspired against my master and killed him. But who struck all this? Know now that not one word of YaHuWaH, which YaHuWaH spoke concerning the house of Ahab, does fall to the ground. For YaHuWaH has done what he spoke by his servant Eliyahu. And Jehu struck all those left of the house of Ahab in Israel, and all his great men and his friends and his priests, until he left him without a survivor. Let's keep it till there. So, what's your comments on this?
I was trying to see the relationship between that with the end times, about making those two heaps at the entrance, and it was in the dark time. It was until morning, and it was like all the witnesses are being separated, put in a strategic place. Is going to be in the gate at the entrance, so everybody could see. Everybody that is going to arrive to that point can see that. And what I was telling you, because he recognized that he was himself who was killing the master, but who was killing all the rest. Maybe it could be that it's going to be the 144,000. I don't know. Maybe it's going to be the servants of YaHuWaH, different kind. Maybe even we are part of that army that we have to put to those descendants of Ahab put to death.
And he's coming with the armies of heavens as well, it is written.
Yeah.
So he's coming with his army. We will be part of his army. We don't know what's going to be our role, but we need to be prepared for anything.
And what happened that if somebody is going to maybe watch this scene without any context, without knowing what has happened before, they're going to say, oh, this was a massacre, how these people could do that. But they didn't know about what was the reason why YaHuWaH made this decree against the house of Ahab. So, and sometimes people said, well, Elohim is an Elohim who was killing all the time. And
without knowing the context.
And they don't know the context.
About the evil things that were sowing in the hearts of the people, and they were going astray completely from what is natural.
Yeah, and sometimes we don't realize about that kind of judgment that sometimes are based on compassion, because our Creator doesn't want that this seed that is a bad seed is going to spread within all the creation. So he wants to put an end of that, to remove it. And sometimes we don't understand that is his way of working, removing the evil.
Now, in the same way we did it last week, I think, and I already mentioned this, but this is a continuation of the foreshadow we saw last week. And basically, Yehu in this case is somehow a foreshadow of Mashiach in his second coming, that is coming to bring judgment, is coming to cleanse everything, and in order to establish righteousness once again. So Yahushua will come in order to remove what is unrighteous. That's the only way. That's why it's going to be through fire. And we see this clearly shown on the book of Revelation and also in the book of the prophets, what's going to happen in the end times. So, what is interesting here, and I wanted to put together in a few passages, is about the foreshadow of this part of the story. He was commanding to take the heads of the men, and were 70 men that was part of the house. So if we go back, to the book of Bereshit, chapter 3, verse 15, and this was basically the curse, to say so, over the woman and also over the Nachash. In the verse 15 it says, and I put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He, referring to the seed of the woman, and we know this seed of the woman is referring to Mashiach. He, Mashiach, shall crush your head, the head of the enemy, and you shall crush his heel. So when we see in this story somehow Yehu, a foreshadow of Mashiach, commanding to take the head off of the 70 sons, somehow is a foreshadow of what we see here in this prophecy, that he's going to crush the head of the enemy. And if we go even further into this, and this is something that we have been reading, and maybe you have been reading on the in the book of Yashar, and I think in the book of Jubilees also is bringing this information, is that is well known. Actually, you put together all the names of the nations in the book of Genesis chapter 10, I think. We ended up to have 70 nations. Even if you remember in the book of Yashar, it is written that Joseph, he, as a miracle that happened overnight, he was taught and he learned the 70 languages connected and related to the 70 nations. So the number 70 here is very relevant. And why is that? Because if we go back to the book of Shemot, Exodus, when we talk about the judgment that YaHuWaH brought over to Egypt, we read this in the chapter 12, verse 12, when he's describing about Pesach, and that, by the way, Pesach is coming, is around the corner.
Yeah.
So we need to be prepared for that, especially this year, that most probably we'll see things happening. So we see the instruction of YaHuWaH that he was giving to Moshe about Pesach, and he was saying the following in the verse 12, "And I shall pass through the land of Mizraim on that night, and shall strike all the firstborn in the land of Mizraim, both man and beast. And listen, and on all the mighty ones of Mizraim, I shall execute judgment. I am YaHuWaH." Well, he said that he was bringing judgment and destruction over evil ones, spiritual beings. In this case, mighty one of Mizraim. We all know from the book of Daniel that when Daniel was praying about discernment and wisdom, and Gabriel came to speak to him, Gabriel told him that, I was commanded to come to you, but I was withdrawn by the ruler or the head of Persia for 21 days. And if it's not Michael came to me to help me, I couldn't be with you here. And after he gave the revelation to Daniel, he said, now I need to come back to fight against the ruler of Persia, because the ruler of Greece is coming after him. Was he talking about flesh and blood? No, he was not talking about flesh and blood. He was talking about spiritual beings. And what we see here, and actually just to complement this information, is what is written in the book of Ephesians, chapter 6 and 11 and 12, where it says, "Put on the complete armor of Elohim for you to have power to stand against the schemes of the devil. Because we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against authorities, against the world rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual matters of wickedness in the heavenlies." So what I'm trying to say and what I'm trying to connect. So when we see here the foreshadow of Yehu taking the head of the 70 sons of Ahav, is somehow the foreshadow of what Yahushua is going to do in his second coming with the kingdom of the devil, against the principalities and against those rulers and the head of Persia and the head of Greece, the principalities of those 70 nations. As we see, a structure in the kingdom of YaHuWaH, there is also a structure that we see in the book of Ephesians in the kingdom of the devil. They have those principalities that we have this battle, a spiritual battle. So when you were asking about what's going to be our participation, I don't know what's going to be our physical participation at the moment that Yahushua is coming. Most probably we are going to be engaged somehow. Maybe we are going to be the one coming down with him in order to take over in the world, in the war at Harmagido. But what is clear is our role in this time. He gave us the power. He gave us his Ruach in order to have this spiritual battle against those principalities, against the principalities of the 70 nations, somehow fulfilling the role of Yehu in preparation to what's going to happen in the physical realm. The spiritual realm is here. What's going on in the world today? We see evil spirits, the spirit of the Nephilim, doing whatever they want. Right? They are the one behind the scene, moving the hearts and the minds of the people that they don't want to surrender and acknowledge the true Elohim, YaHuWaH Sebaot. So what should be our role? In the same way that Yehu. It's not to kill people. It's not to remove people. It's to try to save people. It's to bring people to salvation. It's to bring people to the light out of that darkness that is, is filling the entire world today. And how we do that is basically having the fight and the spiritual fight against the sons of the king, against the servants of the king, and whoever that needs to be removed. Yahushua came with the power in order to cast out demons. And this is exactly what is needed in this time. Coming with the truth, coming with the Ruach, both together. And I think and I feel that time is coming soon, and we need to be prepared to have the attitude of Yehu, to remove the 70 nations, the 70 rulers, the principalities. For sure, who will do it finally is Yahushua. That's why the lake of fire. That's why the final judgment. But are we going to be sitting down and see when we have some work to do in this time? Because Yahushua gave us that mission to do that work and to have that battle. So let's continue. So, he, just to reinforce this, somehow Yehu with the letters push people to make a decision, to choose for righteousness. And that's why he was saying at the end, you are righteous too. You decided to do righteousness. I did it with the king, but who did it for this one? You did it, and that's why you decided for righteousness instead of going astray into evil. So, and the heart of Yehu was to do the word of YaHuWaH. That should be our heart too. Is that to fulfill the word of YaHuWaH, the righteousness of YaHuWaH, to do it with compassion, with love. In this case, we see it that it's not in that way, though it's always compassion. He's doing, let me put it in this way. If Yehu didn't took this action, be led by YaHuWaH, because it was a prophecy that given to Eliyahu, what was going to happen?
Somebody else would have been chosen to do it.
The house of Ahab will continue in power.
Okay.
In the other way, without taking that action, through Yehu, through somebody else, the house of Ahab was going to continue to be in power and leading astray not only the house of Israel, they already contaminated the house of Yehuda, and they were contaminating all around them. So they were somehow the source of evil that were spreading over the world, to say so. So when we see it in that way, isn't it an act of compassion to remove this in order to stop it? If you don't stop it, everything will become contaminated.
And there's going not to be anything to be rescued from that situation.
Correct. So we need to understand, and we need to see things from YaHuWaH's eyes. Sometimes, we are with our own thoughts. We make mistakes because we see things from a different angle, not from the angle of YaHuWaH, without seeing further.
Yeah, and he said that everything that we are living right now, it was going to happen. He said that this time were going to be times like before the flood, like Sodom and Amorah. It's going to be, everybody was going to be people hating some other people. Nation was going to be against nation. We were going to have famine. The sun was going to light 7 times more, and we are witnessing those prophecies. So if we are against that, we are against his instructions.
Correct.
So we have to be in the place, and we can maybe help some other people to understand that everything that we have surrounding us is because our own action, our previous action as a whole body. And there is a point, and I think that this is his wisdom, where he can see, and when he can say, okay, I'm not going to lose everything. This is enough. And this is the time for making the action. Yeah. And we are just arriving to that time.
That's true. So let's continue in the verse 12. And he rose up to go, Yehu rose up to go and went to Shomeron. On the way at Beit the gate of the shepherds. Yehu met the brothers of Ahazyahu, sovereign of Yehuda, and said, who are you? And they answered, we are brothers of Ahazyahu, and we have come down to greet the sons of the sovereigns and the sons of the sovereign's mother. And he said, take them alive. So they took them alive and slew them at the well of Beit 42 men, and he left none of them. So, do you have any comment on that? No comment?
No. Why?
Nothing to share?
Well, that they were visiting the family. So
yeah, so they were part of the family of Yehuda. And the only way to understand why Yehu did this is with what we have been telling you since in the last 2 portions, I think.
Relatives.
They were relatives. Ahazyahu was the son of Yahuram. Yahuram was the son of Yehoshaphat. Or Yehoshaphat. And Yahuram, the father of Ahazyahu, was the one taking as wife Atalyahu, that was the daughter of Ahab and Jezebel. So Ahazyahu's mother was Atalyahu, and he was having blood from Jezebel and Ahab in him. So he was part of the house of Ahab, and the instruction given to Yehu through Eliyahu by YaHuWaH is that he needed to remove the entire house of Ahab. So Ahazyahu, and we saw what happened to him in the previous portions, was part of the house of Ahab. These 42 brothers of Ahazyahu were part of the same marriage, it seems. Somehow. They had a lot of kids. That's why he decided to remove them, because it was part of the same lineage. And the instruction of YaHuWaH was to remove the entire house of Ahab. Now, and we can point it out this more clearly in the next portion. But let me say it here, is that Yehu was appointed as the king over the house of Israel, and he was cleansing the entire house of Ahab. Even though that the house of Ahab was extended to the house of Yehuda, he didn't went to the house of Yehuda to remove the lineage of Ahab over there. In this case, it just happened that these brothers of Ahazyahu, they decided to visit their family. Yeah. And they encountered Yehu on the way. So maybe this is something also for show. Encounter somebody on the way. And when you are on the way, you are not right in your heart, something will happen. We need to be right in our hearts. Okay? To be part of the right family, the family of YaHuWaH, not the family of the other kingdom. So the 42 also could be a foreshadow. 42 months in Revelation. And that is 3.5 years.
The other day you were telling me about those who were with
the 2 bears. I think there was 42.
Maybe young men.
Young men. It could be. I think 42 is relevant, and when we talk about prophecy, I think it's also important. So let's continue.
Yeah, and miserable him. In the end, it will be 42 months to cleanse the world of
Yes.
the devils.
That's exactly what I was talking about. Is the 42 months at the end that is basically 3.5 years, and I think we are approaching very fast that period of time in history. So let's continue in the verse 15. And he left there and met YaHuWaH, son of Rechab, coming to meet him, and blessed him and said to him, "Is your heart right?
This
As
is
my
the-
heart is toward your heart." So, is your heart right? That was the first thing that Yehu asked YaHuWaH. Is your heart right? And YaHuWaH answered, "It is." Yehu said, "If it is, give me your hand." And he gave him his hand, and he took him up to him into the chariot. But that's a beautiful picture. You know, we always pray to YaHuWaH that to take our hands. You know, it's like what was happening to Peter, to Kepha,
when
he walked on water.
And he was singing.
Yes, and YaHuWaH and Yahushua took him in order to save him. So, in a kind of metaphor, just to understand this spiritually, we are going to be grabbed by the hand from Yahushua if our heart is right to him. And he is going to pull us in order to be in his chariot. But the first condition is that our heart needs to be right. If our heart is not right, we are not be part of the chariot of fire.
Yeah, I was remember the other one who was taken from the hairs. I prefer the hand.
The hand, but you see the hair, and you have a long hair, so it's gonna be much easier to take your hair, most probably. So let's continue. And he said, "Come with me and see my ardor for YaHuWaH." And they made him ride in his chariot. And you know, if we understand that this is a foreshadow of the second coming of Yahushua, it's a beautiful one. We are going to be able to see his ardor for YaHuWaH. But in order to do that, we need to be riding in his chariot
And be with him.
and be with him. That could be a perfect foreshadow of the rapture. And you know already you already know what's my position about the rapture. Is that in one moment in time, before the wrath of Elohim will be poured down on the earth, he's going to take us and pull us into his chariot. And as soon as we are in his chariot, we are coming with him in order to see how is his ardor in his heart for YaHuWaH, in order to cleanse the earth and to establish righteousness once again and the kingdom of YaHuWaH here on earth. So it could be a beautiful picture of all that's going to happen. But in order to be part of that select group of people, chosen people, we need to be right in our heart. What it means to be right in our heart, that's a totally separate study, but I think it's something that we should ask for guidance. What it means to be right here in our heart, to be right again, to be right with YaHuWaH is He. And who is YaHuWaH is He?
Yahushua.
Yahushua HaMashiach.
Remember the scripture the other day that you find in Zechariah?
Yeah.
About that could be
That's an
interesting
interesting one.
to share.
Maybe it's it should be part of a talk show.
Maybe.
We have not forgotten about the talk show, by the way. We were talking about that the other day. I was telling her, so what's going to be the list of topics we're going to talk?
Yeah.
But you didn't tell me.
No, because I don't have enough ideas.
Okay, so we need to start asking for ideas. So let's continue. In the verse 17. And he came to Shomeron and struck all those left of Ahab in Shomeron, till he had destroyed them according to the word of YaHuWaH, which he spoke to Eliyahu. So cleansing evil from the land. This is exactly what Yahushua is going to do with his army. And Jehu gathered all the people and said to them, Ahab served Baal a little. Jehu serves him much. Is he going to serve Baal? Not at all. And now call to me all the prophets of Baal, all his servants, and all his priests. Let no one be missing, for I have a great slaughtering to make to Baal. Anyone who is lacking shall not live. But Yehu did this deceptively in order to destroy the servants of Baal. And Yehu said, set apart an assembly for Baal. So they proclaimed it. And Yehu sent throughout all Israel, and all the servants of Baal came, so that there was not a man left who did not come. And they came into the house of Baal, and the house of Baal was filled from end to end. And he said to him who was over the wardrobe, bring out garments for all the servants of Baal. And he brought out garments for them. And Yehu and Jehonadab, son of Rechab, went into the house of Baal and said to the servants of Baal, search and see that no servants of YaHuWaH are here with you, but only the servants of Baal. Wow. That's a beautiful picture, by the way. So they went in to make slaughterings and ascending offerings. Now Yehu had appointed for himself 80 men on the outside, and has said, the man who lets escape any of the men whom I have brought into your hands, his life for his life. What a challenge. And it came to be, when he had finished making the ascending offering, Yehu said to the guard and to the officers, go in, strike them, let no one come out. And they struck them with the edge of the sword, and the guards and the officers threw them out, and went into the inner room of the house of Baal, and brought out the pillars of the house of Baal, and burned them, and broke down the statue of Baal, and broke down the house of Baal, and made it a latrine to this day. Thus Yehu destroyed Baal out of Israel. So what do you see here when we think prophetically?
The complete destruction of the enemy and all the workers that he has recruited during all this time. So it's the end of that group.
And what event in the prophetic timeline you see this portion or this part of the story could be connected to?
This could be the Harmegido,
The work of Harmegido. Because it is written that he's going to gather all the armies and of the nations, and actually is the three spirit-like frogs that are going to the nations in order to incite them to be gathered to fight against the one that is coming from heaven. Just paraphrasing, but this is the way that it's written. So somehow YaHuWaH is allowing them to be gathered in order to cleanse and to destroy evil. Now, the beautiful thing here is that, and this is also connected to what I said before about the rapture happening before the wrath, because he was gathering everyone, but he made sure that no servant of YaHuWaH was there in order to receive the wrath.
And also call my attention about the garments, because it was something specifically. They were going to be dressed in those special garments to be identified.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of a mark.
Yep, somehow it's a mark. Now, what he did,
distinction,
what he did was not equal, but somehow similar to what Eliyahu did. That he was challenging the prophets of Baal, and he gathered all of them together to the contest of the offering. And after everyone realized that the YaHuWaH is Elohim, he went and killed them.
And killed them all.
So in this case, Yehu is doing something very similar. He's gathering all the false prophets. He's gathering all those one going serving Baal as evil ones in order to remove and cleanse the land.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the garments. I think that the garments mean something important. Receiving some kind, and I don't know, before this example, I was always thinking about the garments. For instance, like when Adam and Hawa, they were taken out from Eden, and YaHuWaH gave them garments. I used to thought about this, maybe this flesh. So it could be that maybe they're going to be kind of receiving some kind of another form, of they're going to be transformed. I don't know. Maybe a kind of a new physical body, or I don't know.
Could be, or maybe we are going to be transformed. So basically, it's going to be a distinction. So they are going to be wearing what we wear now in this flesh with the full of sin. But we, the chosen one, are going to be transformed to a new body.
Yeah, but I was thinking about the things that we are hearing right now about all this group that are trying to work with the body and do like this eternal, because they think that they can do this eternal with a.
That's an interesting thought. Maybe those that are basically deciding to wear what is connected to the kingdom of Baal.
Yeah.
And wearing something is basically to inject something, is to put something in the
doesn't
body
belong to,
that doesn't belong naturally to the body.
No.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's really interesting. So let's continue with the last few verses. It says in the 29, however, Yehu did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, who had made Israel sin from the golden calves that were at Bethel and Adan. And YaHuWaH said to Yehu, because you have done well by doing what is right in my eyes, and have done to the house of Ahab all that was in my heart, your sons are going to sit on the throne of Israel to the fourth generation. And this is interesting because we see curses till the third and fourth generations. But in this case also we see the opposite. Blessing until the fourth generations. And because one was right, blessing toward the rest until the fourth generation. And right in what sense? To do what's right in his eyes and to do what's in his heart. That's why it's so important that we understand what is right in the eyes of YaHuWaH and what is in the heart of YaHuWaH. We always need to pray, Abba, give me of your heart. I want to have your heart. Your thoughts, I want to do your will. Guide me to do your will. And again, let's not to have expectation of what he wants us to do, because every time that we put expectation, we are closing the door in order to understand what he wants to do through us. Zero expectation, just to listening what he wants from us. Maybe, as I said at the beginning in the introduction, maybe it's one person, maybe it's one group, maybe it's one community. Maybe we need to go to remote locations. Maybe we need to do something crazy. We don't know. So when we have zero expectation, he's going to work through us. But we need to ask him to guide us, to understand what is his will for us, what is in his heart, what is right before his eyes. We know what is right before his eyes because we have been studying, and we know what is written in this book where he's showing us and teaching us what is right and what is wrong. What is right before his eyes, what is wrong before his eyes. And we know this world is full in these times and this age of all the abominations.
And I was thinking that maybe some days when we don't feel that we are kind of instrument of him, maybe it's because not every day we can be an instrument. Maybe some days we need to rest, and maybe some days other people are going to be instrument and is going to be on our own benefits. Maybe we are going to receive the help.
And it's not a competition that the other one is doing it and not that it's not a competition. We need to be humble, we need to be obedient, and we need to be patient.
Yeah, and he's the one who knows our capabilities, and he's the one who knows when is our time. So we have just to be ready with our shoes put, with our loins girded and everything ready, but we're waiting on him. Yeah.
So it says the 31, but Yehu did not guard to walk in the Torah of YaHuWaH, Elohim of Israel, with all his heart. For he did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam, who had made Israel sin. In those days YaHuWaH began to cut off some in Israel, and Hazael, this is the king of Aram, struck them throughout all the border of Israel. from the Jordan to the sun rising. All the land of Gilad, the Gadites, and the Reubenites, and the Menashites, from Aroer, which is by the Wadi Arnon, including Gilad and Bashan, and the rest of the acts of Jehu, and all that he did, and all his might, are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Israel? So Jehu slept with his fathers, and they buried him in Shomeron. And YaHuWaH, his son, reigned in his place. And the days that Jehu reigned over Israel in Shomeron were 28 years.
And YaHuWaH means YaHuWaH has sized.
Good. So, it's a beautiful completion somehow of a picture, a foreshadow of the second coming of Mashiach. With the exception of the last part of Jehu, because this is related to his own life and his own decision.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful foreshadow
The rest of the actions.
And what is going to happen in these last days. Now, I think what's coming in the next chapter, could it be another foreshadow? So you want to read it?
I'm going to read it.
Let's do it.
And Natalia was the mother of Ahazyahu.
And she was the daughter of Ahab and Jezebel.
Yeah. And when she saw that her son was dead, she arose and destroyed all the offspring of the reign. But Yehusheba, the daughter of sovereign Joram, sister of Ahazyahu, so this is the daughter of Ataliyahu, took Joash, son of Ahaziah, so the nephew, took a nephew.
You're right.
Yeah.
It was her daughter.
Yeah, it was her daughter. So
Wow.
the nephew, because the grandmother wanted to kill them,
Yes.
and stole him away from among the sons of the sovereign sons who were put to death. So they hid him and his nurse in the bedroom from Ataliyahu, and he was not put to death.
So it's interesting because it's basically
The same grandmother wants to destroy all the
and her own daughter
yeah
decided to do what is right.
Yeah.
This lady,
yeah
Yehusheba,
yeah
she decided to go against her own mother.
yeah. And Yahushua is the YaHuWaH has sworn, or like the sworn of Yahuwah.
And I think that's a
The oath of
complicated.
YaHuWaH.
It's a complicated scenario that maybe all of us we have been going through, and it is written even in the words of Yahushua that we can find our enemies in the same house, in the same roof. And actually it says that the father will go against the son, and the son against the father in the end times. So that's why the question of is our heart right is so relevant, because when we find ourselves in situations that our own relatives and close relatives are against us, or it could be that they are going to be against us when things are going to be more difficult. We need to be strong enough in order to do what is right, to stand up and do what is right, deciding for YaHuWaH and not for the flesh and blood.
Maybe, I don't know. It's like
It's
an
not an easy
example, because maybe it's not going to be like maybe some kind of a fight. Oh, I'm going to hate you, things like that. No. I was thinking that maybe all this situation that happened with the pandemic and everything, it was, for instance, what happened in a family. There are some people who think that all the solution was in the solution that the society was proposing. And we know that that was not the way. So that kind of opposition that was between the families and that was inside, it could be also transferred to some other areas. For instance, maybe we know that something is this is right in the eyes of YaHuWaH, but not everybody has the same vision about that in the family. So sometimes that is why we are fighting. Maybe it's not going to be a fighting like giving punch, or I'm not going to talk with you anymore. No, maybe it's how is our path? is in that direction, and maybe the path of the family is in a different direction.
True.
So
You almost punched my face.
yeah. It was just practice.
Yeah, I think you wanted to do it.
No.
But I think, you know, what you said is right. It is not written here. We don't have the details. The only thing we know that she took action. She took the nephew.
Yeah, and was
hide
hiding him.
him.
Because maybe with the teachings
Yes.
that YaHuWaH was trying to do was like killing his spirit, for instance.
Maybe she was fighting with her mother. We
Yeah.
don't know. But what we know that in this case, what is written, specifically what is written, there is no fighting. There was no word. She just saw that something wrong was being done, and she decided to take action and to save the offspring. Because what YaHuWaH, it is written here, what YaHuWaH was doing, this lady,
Putting them to death.
removing
The
the seed of David. This is exactly what she was doing. And that's why when I was saying that this is another foreshadow, this could be,
The dragon.
it could be the dragon, it could be the Mystery Babylon,
Yeah.
a representation of Mystery Babylon, killing the prophets, killing the son, trying to kill the son,
Yeah.
trying to kill the offspring.
Yeah.
And we know that the Mystery Babylon is fully connected to the beast, is fully connected to the dragon. So it's basically the same spirit that is having the same purpose, is to kill and destroy, is to remove the seed of Elohim, is to remove the seed that YaHuWaH has decided to establish on the earth.
And you know what is interesting? That this aunt, what she was doing was taking the boy and his nurse. Why the nurse? Why not the mother of the boy? Maybe the mother was already dead.
Most probably.
And the nurse was given the nourishment.
Yeah.
And so it's like in the end time, it says, and I'm going to give you a special place to nourish you and your seed.
Correct.
So from YaHuWaH, and he was not put to death. So should I continue?
Yep.
Okay. And he remained with her in hiding in the house of YaHuWaH for 6 years, while YaHu was reigning over the land. So we have here an example, a lady reigning,
A queen.
a queen. Yeah. So reigning over the land. But it says over the land, it didn't say it over Yehuda. So it could be something different. Maybe it's because...
Not sure because of what happened next.
Okay. And in the 7th year, Jehoiada sent and brought the commanders of 100 with the Karaites and the runners, and brought them into the house of YaHuWaH to him. And he made a covenant with them and took an oath from them in the house of YaHuWaH, and showed them the son of the sovereign. And he commanded them, saying, "This is what you are to do. 1/3 of you who come in on the Shabbat to be on guard in the sovereign's house, and 1/3 at the gate of Sur, and 1/3 at the gate behind the runners. And you shall be on guard in the house, lest it be broken down." And the name Jehoiada, let me see if I have it here. No, I cannot find it. Yeah. No. What is the chapter? The verse? 4. Jehoiada. Yah is willing. And we can see
And he was the priest, by the way.
He was
the
the
priest.
priest.
It is written in the next verses.
Yeah. So we can see that he gave them the instruction and put them in a special location. So the idea was to secure all the place. So nobody strange, nobody could enter to the place. And,
You know what is beautiful? This is a kind of a similar foreshadow of what happened with Moshe. In the case of Moshe, it wasn't his sister, but it was a lady, a woman, saving him from death. So, and actually what you are reading here is that first there was a covenant with the people to show the sovereign. The sovereign is alive. This is the true sovereign. But there was a covenant first made with the people before showing the sovereign. And after that, there is a commandment and instruction for protection. This needs to be protected. You know, it is written that the woman of Revelation 12 have a son. That son is Mashiach, but also she has an offspring that's going to be persecuted by the devil. Those one having the testimony of Yahushua and keeping the commandments of YaHuWaH. That's the way that it's written. So if we see protection over the son, we can also understand that this is the heart of YaHuWaH, is to protect, and it's basically it's protection all around. We have that kind of protection, is to have this protection all around us. Is what, if we are right and we are part of the offspring, if we are sons of Elohim, daughters of Elohim, we are going to have that protection.
Yeah.
But we need to be in the covenant.
Yeah.
In covenant, we need to be the offspring. We need to be maybe in hiding, but then to be visible. And it's also connected to what we were saying before. Maybe now we are hiding us in the same way that Eliyahu was hiding in the cave, but it wasn't time that he needed to come out and to do what he needed and he was commanded to do. Maybe we're in the same way, hidden for 6 years, interesting number, and then coming and to do and show ourselves to the world.
And the son, the king was revealed to them.
Yeah.
So they had this, they could see this. Not everybody was able to see the king.
Can you imagine, with the king coming riding the clouds and everybody will see him? That's going to be a similar moment. Everybody thought that the sovereign was dead.
Yeah.
What they believed of Yahushua. Most people in this age don't believe in the resurrection. It's a
kind of fairy tale for
fairy tale, exactly. That's the word. But when they see him coming riding on the clouds, what's going to be the reaction? Most probably the same reaction they have. And the heart change. That's why when I was saying before, when people, and unfortunately that's human nature, when we see, it's much easier to believe. And that's why we need to ask YaHuWaH to work through us with his mighty power so the people will see and will believe. Not everybody will believe. That's the way it is. But it's going to be much easier to reach out to people so YaHuWaH and the Ruach HaKodesh can change their hearts. They have a change of heart here.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And okay, here, if you can put this here. And the two detachment of you who are going out on the Shabbat shall be on guard in the house of YaHuWaH for the sovereign.
Yes, let me make a short comment. In this passage, we see a kind of confirmation that they were changing shifts on Shabbat. When you go to the Dead Sea Scrolls, and also there are some ways to confirm this in other passages in the scripture.
About the priest rotation?
That the rotation of the priests were changing on Shabbat. A new house of priests were coming on Shabbat while the previous one were departing. And we see here that was not only the priests, the Kohanim, also the guards, the ones keeping the doors. So there was a kind of structure, organization on how to serve in the house of YaHuWaH, and they were changing shifts, rotating on Shabbat. Okay?
And you shall surround the sovereign on all sides, every man with his weapons in his hand, and whoever comes within the ranks, let him be put to death, and be with the sovereign as he goes out and as he comes in. When I was looking and I was taking this, I was thinking about how they were going to recognize if somebody was being infiltrated in the group, like it says, comes within the ranks.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Don't know.
So that is that you have to be, you have to observe the people that you have near you. What is your surrounding? What is the people that are near you? And usually the people who doesn't belong to a place, like is I don't know, like they are, is when you see like a field and you see that everything is so smooth, but something is just sticking out.
Yeah.
So something like that. So we have to be very careful. And I think that if we are going to be watchmen or something like that, we have to be conscious about what we have surrounding us.
Absolutely.
So the commanders of the hundreds did according to all that YaHuWaH, the priest, commanded. And each of them took his men who were going in on the Shabbat, with those who were going out on the Shabbat, and came to YaHuWaH, the priest. And the priest gave the commanders of hundreds the spears and shields, which had belonged to sovereign David, that were in the house of YaHuWaH. So they received this, and I think that
Weapons.
the
For
weapons,
protection.
but I think also like a kind of the importance that for them was to have in their hands and see with their own eyes what was used time ago. With that, Goliath was killed. So I think that emotionally was even really important to have that.
I agree.
And the runners stood, every man with his weapons in his hand, all around the sovereign, from the right side of the house to the left side of the house, by the slaughter place and the house. And he brought out the son of the sovereign and put on him the diadem and the witness. And they set him up to reign and anointed him. And they clapped their hands and said, "Let the sovereign live." So it was like
It was a proclamation.
it was the coronation of the king. If you can,
Yes, and think again on second coming.
yeah, I think that this is like the perfect foreshadow. And Athaliah heard the noise of the runners, the people, and she came to the people in the house of YaHuWaH, and looked and saw the sovereign standing by a column, according to the ruling. That is interesting. The sovereign has to be next to a column. And the chief and the trumpeters were beside the sovereign, and all the people of the land rejoicing and blowing trumpets. And Athaliah tore her garments and cried out, "Treason, treason." And YaHuWaH, the priest, commanded the commanders of the hundreds, the officers of the army, and said to them, "Take her outside the ranks, and slay with the sword whoever follows her." For the priest had said, "Do not let her be killed in the house of YaHuWaH." So maybe people were going to be next to her because she was the previous queen.
Correct.
So
And also we see here, when we talk about the prophetic picture, is that as soon as the son or the sovereign is revealed, the punishment or the destruction over the evil woman will happen.
yeah,
So, and this is very similar to what we see happening in the book of Revelation about the destruction over the mystery Babylon. Is that somehow is connected to the revelation of the true king.
So they took hold of her, and she went by way of the horses' entrance to the sovereign's house, and was put to death there. And YaHuWaH made a covenant between YaHuWaH and the sovereign and the people, to be the people of YaHuWaH, also between the sovereign and the people. So
The covenant is repetitive.
Yeah.
It's to reinforce the covenant. We are the people of YaHuWaH. It is all connected to everything we have been discussing today.
yeah, and also there is a covenant between the sovereign and the people. And all the people of the land went to the house of Baal and broke it down. They completely broke up its slaughter places and images, and killed Matan, the priest of Baal, before the slaughter places. And the priest appointed inspectors over the house of YaHuWaH.
So here we see, an evidence that the corruption
Yeah,
came to the house of YaHuWaH.
Yeah.
And again, I have said this before, because of the mistake of Yehoshaphat. Yehoshaphat decided to have this marriage covenant between the two
Yeah.
houses, and because of that, this Athaliah came to the house of Yehuda and started to spread all these evil things, even to the point that they have priests of Baal. There were some
Yeah.
worship to Baal, and so on. And we see that this seed somehow remain for later. We will see in the coming portions. It was removed now, but because that seed was allowed to get in, it's like weeds. No,
The tares.
the tares.
Among the weeds.
Among the weeds. Yeah, that they will sprout out again.
Yeah.
Needs to be completely removed with fire.
Yeah. And took the commanders of 100 and the Karaites and the runners and all the people of the land, and they brought the sovereign down from the house of YaHuWaH, and went by way of the gate of the runners to the sovereign's house. And he sat on the throne of the sovereigns. And all the people of the land rejoiced, and the city had rest, for they had slain Atalyahu with the sword of the sovereign's house, in the sovereign's house. Jehoash was 7 years old when he began to reign. So Atalyahu was not killed in the house of YaHuWaH, but was killed in the house of the sovereign.
And you know what's interesting here? And they brought the sovereign down from the house of YaHuWaH. Just imagine Yahushua coming down from heaven, from the throne of YaHuWaH over there, coming down to this earth. And it says, and he sat on the throne of the sovereigns.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful
it's
picture
going
in the
to
way
be
that we
like
have
the
been.
replacement of the anti-Mashiach is going to be out of the picture
Correct.
at that moment.
Correct. So, you know, I think it's a beautiful picture. I don't remember what's coming in the chapter 12. We will see it next week.
Yeah.
But, you know, when we start seeing all this together, how in such a mighty way YaHuWaH has been declaring the end from the beginning. And he's been declaring the end from the beginning not only once. It's been a repetitive cycle.
Yeah.
In different stories in his word that somehow is bringing knowledge, brought knowledge to the people of the time, is bringing knowledge to us that we see those stories happening and how they had a heart for YaHuWaH, but also is showing us his plan of restoration.
And it's interesting that it's not only like a whole, like in the whole creation, it's also in the creation, in the countries, in the families, in we as an individual person too. So everything is in this battle moment right now.
True.
And it's interesting how everything is being like shaken at this time.
And you know, the other aspect that we cannot forget is how all these stories that we see in the scripture is bringing knowledge to us on what should be our attitude. We have perfect examples of people. We see this lady, YaHuWaH, that she decided to stand up for what is right. We see Yehu. We see this other the person that was taken to the chariot of Yehu. So all those are the things that we need to hold on. We need to take in consideration and to put it in our hearts. What is the attitude? What YaHuWaH wants from His people? How we should act? How should be our hearts? And in this time, as I saw, I think it coming from Yarashe way ago, is that there's no Gideon in these times. And that's true. I think we are being called to have that attitude, to stand up for truth, to stand up for the kingdom of YaHuWaH. And as I said before, it's not to fight, as you wanted to push my face before, it's not to fight physically. The most important thing we have to do is to fight spiritually. Do we have the weapons? The weapons are available.
We have the complete armor.
We have the complete armor. The armor is available. It's up to us to ask for the armor. It's up to us to ask for the sword. It's up to us to ask for the entire weapons we need in order to fight this battle. And we should not be waiting for Yahushua to appear on the clouds to take action. The action we need to take it now, because people are going astray and they are losing an amazing opportunity to be part of the kingdom and the promises. You know, we can be super selfish, just taking the hope and expectation only for us. We are being called to do something different. And doing something different is exactly following the examples of the people that decided, in all the stories that we are reading in the Word of YaHuWaH, decided for the kingdom of YaHuWaH, decided to take some action. And it's up to us to do it and to fight the spiritual battle. Any final words?
I was thinking about that maybe we are having the weapons, we are having the armor, but I don't know how it was this image about this king who has also the weapon and the armor and everything, but maybe we need to also work in our fighting techniques. Why? Because he was in one part of the armor, something was exposed, and an arrow was entering into his heart. So sometimes with our movements, maybe if we don't know that kind of techniques of protection, proper protection, we can leave some parts of our temple, of our Kodesh place exposed to the attacks of the enemy. So we have to pray so we can learn about that techniques and how to be learning every day, how to move, how to walk in this walk with YaHuWaH.
Good. You know, it looks a little bit funny. You're just
this
think
is
over
if
there. Yeah.
I need to be defensive, I have this.
And just this part of your weapon.
Yeah, that's
okay,
my
I'm going to be.
weaponry.
Yeah. So next time it's not going to be only a punch in the face. It could be something even more dangerous. I need to put the helmet. Yeah, Karen, but the physical one as well.
Yeah.
So it's been an interesting time, like always. We hope that it's been blessing you in the same way that He's been blessing us. So we hope, that the YaHuWaH will give us the opportunity to continue next week. We never know. We never know about next day, next moment. So it's in our heart to continue. So we really hope and pray to see each other in the chat next week.
We love you all.
And keep enjoying your Shabbat. Keep praying. Keep meditating in everything that YaHuWaH is bringing on these studies. It's not us that we're speaking. We are just allowing the Ruach to speak through us. In the same way that you are also allowing the Ruach to speak through you in the comments you are putting in the chat. We are growing together. We are all together in this path. And we are all waiting for that moment when the King is going to be revealed and every eye will see him and he will bring restoration of all things. Let's do our part as much as we can. Let's prepare ourselves for what's coming in order to act, in order to do. So YaHuWaH be with you all. See you next week. Have a wonderful Shabbat. Have a wonderful week.
Yeah.
So we will end with a song from our brother
Barry Hanson. Yeah.
So here we go. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Sing praise to the Lord, Most High Adonai. Sing praise to Elohim, who created everything. His name is so holy, we can hardly sing. We speak it only with fear and trembling. We call you Abba, Father. Above you, there is no other. Sing praise to our Lord. YaHuWaH is His name. He is the Son of God, and forever He will reign. His name is so holy, speak it